The morning sky over New York changed forever when the ships appeared. They came without warning, massive silver vessels that blocked out the sun. People stopped in the streets, pointing at the sky. Cars crashed as drivers forgot to watch the road. Within minutes, every news channel on Earth was broadcasting the same impossible sight. Admiral Jake Morrison was drinking coffee in his office when his phone started ringing. He worked for the newly created Alien Contact Division, a department that most people thought was a waste of money. Now, as he watched the ships on his television, he realized his job had suddenly become very real. The ships were beautiful in a strange way. They looked like giant crystals floating in the air, catching the sunlight and throwing rainbows across the city. But they were also terrifying. Each one was bigger than an aircraft carrier, and there were dozens of them hovering over major cities around the world. Then they started talking. The voice came from everywhere at once. Radios, television, cell phones, even car speakers all carried the same message. The voice was calm and pleasant, speaking perfect English with no accent at all. "People of Earth," the voice said, "we are the Zephyrians. We come in peace. We have watched your world for many years, and we wish to help you. Please do not be afraid. Your leaders will hear from us soon." Jake grabbed his coat and ran for the door. His phone was already buzzing with calls from the Pentagon, the White House, and the United Nations. Everyone wanted to know the same thing. What did the aliens want? 2 days later, Jake stood in the United Nations building in New York. He was not alone. Dr. Lisa Parker, a scientist who studied alien life, stood beside him. She was excited and nervous at the same time. General Carl Brooks, a tough old soldier, completed their team. He looked like he wanted to shoot something, but there was nothing to shoot yet. The main assembly hall was packed. Every country on Earth had sent representatives. Everyone wanted to see the aliens for themselves. Jake had seen many important meetings, but nothing like this. The air felt electric with tension and excitement. Then the aliens appeared. They did not walk into the room. Instead, they simply materialized in the center of the hall, glowing like ghosts made of light. Jake heard people gasp and whisper. The aliens were tall, maybe 8 feet high, and thin. Their skin looked like it was made of crystal, and light seemed to shine from inside them. They moved gracefully like dancers. The leader stepped forward. When he spoke, his mouth did not move, but his voice filled the room. "I am Ambassador Kethvar of the Zephyrian Collective," he said. "We greet you, people of Earth." The Secretary General of the United Nations, a nervous man named Rodriguez, stood up. "Welcome to Earth," he said, his voice shaking slightly. "We are honored by your visit." Kethvar made a gesture that might have been a bow. "We have observed your species for 67 of your years," he said. "You have shown great potential, but also great danger to yourselves. We wish to help." Jake leaned forward in his seat. This was the moment they had all been waiting for. "We represent the Galactic Protection Consortium," Kethvar continued. "It is an alliance of 847 civilized species. All live under our guidance and protection. We offer the same protection to Earth." Dr. Parker wrote notes frantically. General Brooks just stared at the alien, his face showing nothing. "The galaxy is a dangerous place," Kethvar said. "There are savage species that destroy worlds for fun. There are machine minds that turn living beings into slaves. There are pirates and raiders who take whatever they want. Without protection, young civilizations like yours do not survive long." The alien waved his hand, and images appeared in the air above him. Jake saw burning cities on alien worlds. He saw strange ships firing weapons that turned mountains into glass. He saw creatures that looked like nightmares attacking peaceful settlements. "These are the Kreks," Kethvar said, showing images of lizard-like creatures with too many teeth. "They live only to destroy." "These are the Nexus," he continued, showing mechanical beings with glowing red eyes. "They turn living worlds into factories. And these are just 2 of the many threats that exist beyond your world." The room was silent. Jake could hear people breathing. The images were horrifying, but something about them bothered him. They looked almost too perfect, like scenes from a movie. "We offer Earth membership in our consortium," Kethvar said. "We will share our technology with you. We will teach you to travel between stars. Most importantly, We will protect you from those who would destroy you. Secretary General Rodriguez cleared his throat. This is a generous offer, he said. What would Earth need to do in return? For the first time, Kethvar paused. The pause was only a second, but Jake noticed it. Earth would contribute to the common defense. The alien said, your resources, your people, your industrial capacity. All civilized worlds contribute according to their ability. Jake stood up. He had not planned to speak, but something about the alien's words made him uncomfortable. Ambassador Kethvar, he said, I am Admiral Morrison, representing Earth's military forces. May I ask a question? The alien turned toward him. Up close, Jake could see that Kethvar's crystal-like skin was actually moving, flowing like water. Of course, Admiral Morrison. You show us these threats, these danger species. Jake said, but Earth has been sending radio signals into space for over a century. We have been launching satellites and space probes. If the galaxy is so dangerous, why has nothing attacked us yet? Kethvar's flowing skin seemed to slow down. You have been fortunate, he said. Your world is far from the main shipping routes, but that will not protect you forever. Jake nodded, but his expression did not change. I see. And what exactly would this protection cost us? Cost? Kethvar seemed confused by the word. Yes, cost, Jake said. What percentage of our resources would we contribute? How many people would serve in your forces? What decisions would Earth be allowed to make for itself? The alien skin stopped moving entirely. These details will be worked out later, he said. First, Earth must accept our protection. Jake looked at Dr. Parker and General Brooks. Both of them were staring at him with interest. Jake turned back to the alien. Ambassador Kethvar, he said slowly, with all due respect, we would like some time to discuss your offer among ourselves. Would that be acceptable? The alien was quiet for a long moment. Of course, he finally said, but do not take too long. The galaxy becomes more dangerous each day. As the aliens faded from view, Jake sat down. Around him, delegates from every nation on Earth began talking at once. But Jake was thinking about the alien's pause, about the two perfect images of destruction, and about one simple question. Protection from who exactly? And what was the real catch? 3 days after the first meeting, Jake Morrison sat in a secure room deep under the Pentagon. With him were Dr. Lisa Parker and General Carl Brooks, along with a dozen other experts from around the world. On the table between them lay reports that made Jake's stomach turn. Dr. Parker looked tired. She had not slept much since the aliens arrived. Her team had been working around the clock, studying everything they could about the Zephyrians. What they found was not what anyone expected. Their technology is impressive, she said, flipping through pages of analysis. But it's not as advanced as they want us to believe. Their ships are big, yes, but they're built for show, not for fighting. Commander Rick Hayes, a military strategist with 20 years of experience, leaned forward. He had been studying the alien ships through telescopes and satellites. The armor plating is thin, he said. The weapons look powerful, but they're inefficient. A single modern fighter jet could probably damage one of their ships. Jake rubbed his eyes. He had suspected something was wrong, but this was worse than he thought. What about their stories? The threats they showed us? Dr. Parker pulled up images on her laptop. That's where it gets interesting, she said. I ran the footage they showed us through our computer systems. Some of those destroyed cities? They were destroyed by weapons that matched Zephyrian technology, not the technology of the species they blamed. General Brooks, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. You're saying they destroyed those cities themselves? I'm saying it's possible, Dr. Parker replied. But there's more. She showed them another set of images. These were taken by Captain Amy Sullivan, who ran Earth space monitoring stations. Amy had been tracking objects in space for 15 years, watching for asteroids that might threaten Earth. But in the past week, she had been watching something else. These are the so-called Krex Raider ships, Dr. Parker said. The ones the Zephyrians warned us about. But look at this. She put two images side by side. One showed a Krex ship from the alien footage. The other showed a Zephyrian ship, but with different markings and weapons attached. They're the same basic design, Captain Sullivan said via video link from her space station. Someone just painted them differently and stuck some extra guns on them. Jake stared at the images. Are you telling me the Zephyrians are running some kind of scam? That's exactly what I'm telling you, Dr. Parker said. I think they've been doing this for centuries. They show up at a young civilization, warn them about dangerous threats, and offer protection. If the civilization says no, suddenly they start having problems with raiders and equipment failures. Commander Hayes nodded. It's the oldest trick in the book. Create a problem, then sell the solution. Jake picked up his phone and called the White House. Sir, he said when the president answered, we need another meeting with the aliens. And this time, we're going to ask some harder questions. 2 hours later, Ambassador Kethvar appeared again in the United Nations building. But this time, the atmosphere was different. The human delegates were not impressed or scared. They looked angry. Jake stood up without waiting for permission to speak. Ambassador Kethvar, he said, we've been studying your offer. We have some concerns. The alien's crystal skin began flowing faster. What concerns, Admiral Morrison? Let's start with your technology, Jake said. Our scientists have analyzed your ships. They're not as advanced as you claimed. Your primitive instruments cannot properly measure. Kethvar began. Our primitive instruments can measure the thickness of your armor plating, Commander Hayes interrupted. It's about as thick as the hull of one of our cargo ships. Dr. Parker stood up next. We've also analyzed the footage you showed us of these galactic threats. Some of those destroyed cities were attacked with Zephyrian weapons, not Krex weapons. For the first time, the alien looked uncomfortable. His skin stopped flowing entirely. Furthermore, Dr. Parker continued, we detected several ships in our solar system that matched the design of Krex raiders. But when we look closer, they're just modified Zephyrian vessels. The room was completely silent. Every human delegate was staring at Kethvar, waiting for his response. The alien was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice had changed. It was colder, less friendly. You are a young species, he said. You do not understand the complexities of galactic politics. Then explain it to us, Jake said. Kethvar's crystal form seemed to grow taller. The Galactic Protection Consortium maintains order in this part of the galaxy. Sometimes, order requires firm action. What kind of firm action? General Brooks asked. Sometimes, worlds that refuse our protection experience unfortunate events. Kethvar said, equipment failures, accidents, raids by desperate pirates. These things happen in space. Jake felt his anger rising. You're threatening us. I am explaining reality, the alien replied. The galaxy is dangerous. Civilizations need guidance. Those who accept our guidance prosper. Those who do not. He did not finish the sentence, but everyone in the room understood. Dr. Parker looked at her notes. How many civilizations are in your consortium? 847, Kethvar said. And how many of them joined voluntarily? She asked. Again, the alien paused. All of them saw the wisdom of our protection. That's not what I asked, Dr. Parker said firmly. Kethvar's form began to flicker slightly. This conversation is pointless. Earth needs our protection. The alternative is destruction. Jake stood up slowly. He was a military man, and he had dealt with bullies before, but he had never dealt with an alien bully who controlled 800 worlds. Ambassador Kethvar, he said carefully, let me make sure I understand. You're running a protection racket. You threaten civilizations until they agree to give you their resources and people. And if they refuse, you attack them with fake raiders and blame it on other species. The aliens' form solidified, becoming more solid and threatening. You are making dangerous accusations, Admiral Morrison. Am I wrong? Jake asked. Kethvar did not answer immediately. Around the room, human delegates began whispering to each other. Jake could hear words like criminals and invasion and war. Finally, the alien spoke. Earth has 3 days to accept our protection, he said. After that, we cannot guarantee your safety. The galaxy is full of species who would love to destroy a primitive world like yours. And if we refuse... General Brooks asked. Kefvar's crystal skin began glowing brighter. Then Earth will learn why 847 civilizations chose to accept our guidance. With that, the alien disappeared. Jake looked around the room at the other human delegates. They were scared, but they were also angry. And Jake knew from experience that humans were at their most dangerous when they were both scared and angry at the same time. Well, he said to Dr. Parker and General Brooks, I guess we know what we're dealing with now. A cosmic protection racket, Dr. Parker said. The question is, General Brooks added, what are we going to do about it? Jake smiled for the first time in days. It was not a nice smile. We're going to do what humans do best when someone tries to bully us, he said. We're going to show them why that's a bad idea. For the first time, the alien looked uncomfortable. His skin stopped flowing entirely. Furthermore, Dr. Parker continued, we detected several ships in our solar system that matched the design of Krex Raiders. But when we look closer, they're just modified Zephyrian vessels. The room was completely silent. Every human delegate was staring at Kefvar, waiting for his response. The alien was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice had changed. It was colder, less friendly. You are a young species, he said. You do not understand the complexities of galactic politics. Then explain it to us, Jake said. Kefvar's crystal form seemed to grow taller. The Galactic Protection Consortium maintains order in this part of the galaxy. Sometimes, order requires firm action. What kind of firm action? General Brooks asked. Sometimes, worlds that refuse our protection experience unfortunate events. Kefvar said. Equipment failures. Accidents. Raids by desperate pirates. These things happen in space. Jake felt his anger rising. You're threatening us. I am explaining reality, the alien replied. The galaxy is dangerous. Civilizations need guidance. Those who accept our guidance prosper. Those who do not. He did not finish the sentence, but everyone in the room understood. Dr. Parker looked at her notes. How many civilizations are in your consortium? 847, Kefvar said. And how many of them joined voluntarily? She asked. Again, the alien paused. All of them saw the wisdom of our protection. That's not what I asked, Dr. Parker said firmly. Kefvar's form began to flicker slightly. This conversation is pointless. Earth needs our protection. The alternative is destruction. Jake stood up slowly. He was a military man, and he had dealt with bullies before, but he had never dealt with an alien bully who controlled 800 worlds. Ambassador Kefvar, he said carefully, let me make sure I understand. You're running a protection racket. You threaten civilizations until they agree to give you their resources and people. And if they refuse, you attack them with fake raiders and blame it on other species. The alien's form solidified, becoming more solid and threatening. You are making dangerous accusations, Admiral Morrison. Am I wrong? Jake asked. Kefvar did not answer immediately. Around the room, human delegates began whispering to each other. Jake could hear words like criminals and invasion and war. Finally, the alien spoke. Earth has 3 days to accept our protection, he said. After that, we cannot guarantee your safety. The galaxy is full of species who would love to destroy a primitive world like yours. And if we refuse? General Brooks asked. Kefvar's crystal skin began glowing brighter. Then Earth will learn why 847 civilizations chose to accept our guidance. With that, the alien disappeared. Jake looked around the room at the other human delegates. They were scared, but they were also angry. And Jake knew from experience that humans were at their most dangerous when they were both scared and angry at the same time. Well, he said to Dr. Parker and General Brooks, I guess we know what we're dealing with now. A cosmic protection racket, Dr. Parker said. The question is, General Brooks added, what are we going to do about it? Jake smiled for the first time in days. It was not a nice smile. We're going to do what humans do best when someone tries to bully us, he said. We're going to show them why that's a bad idea. The emergency session of world leaders took place in a bunker deep under Switzerland. Presidents, prime ministers, and generals from every major nation on Earth gathered around a massive table. The room was supposed to be the most secure place on the planet, but everyone knew that did not matter much when dealing with aliens who could appear anywhere they wanted. Jake Morrison stood at the head of the table, looking at faces from every continent. Some looked scared, some looked angry, a few looked excited, as if they were looking forward to a fight. President Helen Rodriguez of the United States spoke first. Admiral Morrison, please tell us exactly what we're dealing with. Jake activated a large screen behind him. Images of Zephyrian ships appeared, along with technical analysis from Dr. Parker's team. The Zephyrians are running a cosmic protection racket. Jake said simply, they've been doing it for centuries, maybe longer. They find young civilizations, scare them with fake threats, and then demand tribute in exchange for protection. Prime Minister Chen of China leaned forward. How do we know the threats are fake? Dr. Parker, who was also in the bunker, answered, because we caught them using their own ships disguised as enemy raiders. They've been creating the very problems they claim to solve. General Brooks pulled up more images. Their military technology is designed for intimidation, not actual combat. Their ships are big and shiny, but they're not built for war. They're built to scare civilizations into surrender. President Rodriguez shook her head. 800 worlds have fallen for this. 847, Jake corrected, and we think most of them never had a choice. The Zephyrians probably showed up with overwhelming numbers and made surrender look like the smart option. The Russian president, a stern woman named Volkov, spoke up. What happens if we refuse their protection? They'll attack us, Jake said, but they'll make it look like someone else did it. Fake Krex raiders, equipment failures, maybe some mysterious plague. Then they'll show up and offer to help if we agree to join their consortium. The room was quiet for a moment. Then President Rodriguez did something unexpected. She started laughing. It was not a happy laugh. It was the kind of laugh humans made when they heard something so ridiculous they could not believe it was real. Let me get this straight, she said, still chuckling. These aliens think Earth need protection? General Brooks smiled grimly. That's what they said. President Rodriguez looked around the table at the other world leaders. Have they done their research on us? Jake pulled up another screen, this one showing human history. Wars, weapons, and military statistics filled the display. We've been at war with ourselves for over 5,000 years, he said. We've invented more ways to destroy things than most species invent ways to build things. We've split the atom, conquered diseases that killed millions, and survived ice ages, asteroid impacts, and our own stupidity. Prime Minister Singh of India nodded slowly. We are not exactly a peaceful species. That's putting it mildly, General Brooks said. In the past century alone, we fought 2 world wars, developed nuclear weapons, and created military technology that these Zephyrians can't even imagine. Dr. Parker activated her laptop. I've been comparing human and Zephyrian technology. They have some advantages in power sources and materials, but we're ahead in weapons design, tactics, and innovation. How far ahead? President Volkov asked. Their weapons are basically giant flashlights, Dr. Parker said. Impressive looking, but not very efficient. Our missiles, on the other hand, are designed to destroy heavily armored targets at long range. A single modern fighter jet carries more effective firepower than one of their capital ships. Jake looked around the room. The fear was gone from most faces, replaced by something else, something more dangerous. There's something else, he said. Colonel Ben Tucker from our Black Projects Division has some interesting news. The lights dimmed, and a new face appeared on the screen. Colonel Tucker looked tired but excited. Ladies and gentlemen, Tucker said from his secret base, we've been preparing for this day for 70 years. Ever since Roswell, we've been reverse engineering alien technology. We know how their ships work, how their weapons function, and most importantly, how to stop them. President Rodriguez raised an eyebrow. Roswell was real? Roswell was a Zephyrian scout ship, Tucker said. We've been studying it ever since. We know their weaknesses. Ake felt a grim satisfaction. The Zephyrians made a big mistake when they chose Earth. They picked a fight with the one species in the galaxy that specializes in fighting. Around the table, world leaders began to smile. These were not nice smiles. "What do you recommend, Admiral?" President Rodriguez asked. Jake looked at the faces around him. These people represented billions of humans, a species that had survived everything the universe threw at them and came back stronger each time. "I recommend we give them our answer," he said. 3 hours later, Ambassador Kevar appeared in the United Nations building. But this time, he was not alone. 2 other Zephyrians stood with him, and all 3 looked more solid and threatening than before. The human delegation was smaller this time. Just Jake Morrison, Dr. Parker, General Brooks, and a few others, but their attitudes had changed completely. "Have you considered our offer?" Kevar asked. Jake stood up slowly. "We have." And Jake looked at Dr. Parker, who was trying not to smile. He looked at General Brooks, who was checking his watch as if he had somewhere important to be. Then Jake looked back at the alien. "We decline." Kevar's crystal form flared brighter. "You refuse our protection?" "We don't need protection," Jake said simply. "You do not understand," the alien said, his voice growing colder. "Your species is young and weak. Without our guidance, you will be destroyed." Dr. Parker spoke up. "Protected from who exactly? Your fake Krex raiders? Your mysterious equipment failures?" The alien's form flickered with anger. "You know nothing of the galaxy's dangers." "We know enough," General Brooks said. "We know you've been running a scam for centuries. We know your military technology is designed to intimidate, not fight. And we know you picked the wrong species to threaten." Kevar took a step forward, trying to look menacing. "Earth will regret this decision." Jake started laughing, not the polite laugh of a diplomat, but the deep, genuine laugh of a man who had just heard the funniest joke of his life. "You want to know what we need protection from?" he said, still chuckling. "Ourselves. We've been fighting each other for thousands of years. We perfected the art of warfare. We built weapons that can destroy entire continents. And we've been doing all of this while stuck on one small planet." He stepped closer to the alien. "You think you can scare us with a few fake raiders and some equipment failures? We survived plagues that killed half our population. We've rebuilt from the ashes of total war. We've looked extinction in the face and laughed." The other Zephyrians moved closer to their leader, but Jake was not intimidated. "As for external threats," he continued, "any species stupid enough to attack a world full of humans clearly hasn't done their homework." Kevar's form was now blazing with light. "You will learn the price of defying us." Jake smiled. It was a smile of a predator who had just found prey. "No," he said quietly. "You're going to learn why 847 species might have made the wrong choice." Colonel Danny Foster was enjoying his morning coffee when the alarm started screaming. He was stationed at Luna Base, a military facility on the far side of Earth's moon that officially did not exist. According to public records, it was just a scientific research station. In reality, it was humanity's first line of defense against exactly this kind of situation. Danny had been expecting this call for 3 days, ever since Admiral Morrison told the Zephyrians where they could stick their protection offer. He knew the aliens would want to make an example of Earth, and Luna Base was the perfect target. It was isolated, seemingly undefended, and destroy it would send a clear message without actually attacking Earth itself. What the Zephyrians did not know was that Luna Base was a trap. "Colonel Foster," his communications officer called out, "we have 8 Zephyrian ships approaching. They're moving slow, like they want us to see them coming." Danny nodded. "Perfect. Are our friends ready?" Lieutenant Kate Johnson, his best pilot, checked her instruments. "All fighters are ready, sir. The defense grid is online. Our guests should be arriving right on schedule." Danny smiled. Kate was 26 years old and had been flying experimental spacecraft since she was 22. She was also the daughter of a test pilot and the granddaughter of a World War II fighter ace. Flying dangerous missions was literally in her blood. "Sir," the communications officer called again. "They're broadcasting a message." "Put it on speaker," Danny said. Kevar's voice filled the command center. "Luna Base, you are harboring a species that has refused galactic protection. You have 5 minutes to evacuate before we demonstrate the price of defined consortium. Danny picked up the microphone. This is Colonel Foster, commanding officer of Luna Base. This is a scientific research station. We are not a military target. Your species has chosen to defy us, Kethvar replied. All human installations are now legitimate targets. Danny looked around the command center. His people were calm and focused. They had trained for this moment for years. In that case, Danny said into the microphone, you'd better make it count. The Zephyrian ships moved into attack formation. They were beautiful vessels, graceful and shining in the harsh sunlight of space. They looked like crystal butterflies dancing through the void. They also flew like crystal butterflies, slow, predictable, and fragile. Weapons range in 30 seconds, Kate reported from her fighter. She was leading a squadron of 12 experimental spacecraft that had been hidden in craters around the base. Danny watched the tactical display as the alien ships approached. They were moving in a perfect formation, broadcasting their intentions, and giving plenty of warning before they attacked. It was exactly the kind of behavior you would expect from a species that had spent centuries intimidating civilizations into surrender instead of actually fighting wars. Sir, his weapons officer called, the hidden railgun batteries are locked on target. Defense drones are ready for launch, another officer reported. Energy weapons are charging, a third added. Danny had spent 2 years turning Luna Base into the most heavily defended installation in human history. Every crater for miles around contained hidden weapons. The base itself was protected by experimental shield systems that had been developed from captured alien technology. Most importantly, everything had been designed to look like normal scientific equipment until the moment it was needed. Zephyrian ships are beginning their attack run, Kate reported. Danny watched as the alien ships fired their first shots. Beams of bright energy lanced out toward the base, striking the outer buildings. The beams were impressive to look at, but they barely damaged the reinforced structures. Is that it? Danny asked. I've seen laser pointers with more punch. Beginning counterattack, Kate said. The hidden railgun batteries fired first. These weapons use magnetic fields to accelerate metal projectiles to incredible speeds. The projectiles were small, but they hit with the force of meteorites. The lead Zephyrian ship simply came apart. The crystal hull shattered like glass, sending glittering fragments spinning through space. The ship's beautiful design had made it impressive to look at, but terrible at stopping high-velocity impacts. Target destroyed, the weapons officer reported with satisfaction. Defense drones launching, another officer called. Hundreds of small spacecraft poured out of hidden bunkers around the base. They were not much bigger than cars, but they were fast and heavily armed. They swarmed around the remaining Zephyrian ships like angry wasps. The aliens tried to fight back, but their weapons were too slow. The drones moved in unpredictable patterns, hitting the alien ships from all angles. Within minutes, 2 more Zephyrian vessels were drifting helplessly in space. Kate, you're clear for attack run, Danny said. Roger that, sir. Beginning assault. Kate's fighter squadron came screaming out of the lunar craters like bullets from a gun. Her ship was a work of art, designed for speed and firepower. It was also designed by humans, which meant it was built to kill things efficiently rather than look pretty while doing it. The Zephyrians tried to target her squadron, but their tracking systems could not keep up. Human fighters were small, fast, and operated by pilots who had grown up playing video games that required split-second timing and perfect coordination. Kate locked onto the largest Zephyrian ship and fired everything she had. Missiles, energy weapons, and kinetic projectiles all struck the alien vessel at once. The ship's crystal hull cracked, then exploded in a shower of light. Direct hit, she reported. Target destroyed. The remaining Zephyrian ships tried to retreat, but it was too late. The defense drones surrounded them, while the railgun batteries continued to fire. Within 10 minutes of beginning their attack, the Zephyrian demonstration force was nothing but glittering debris floating in space. Danny opened a communication channel to the surviving aliens, who were broadcasting desperate surrender signals from their damaged ships. This is Colonel Foster, he said calmly. Your demonstration has been noted and rejected. Next time, bring more ships. Back on Earth, Admiral Morrison was watching the battle through satellite feeds. Around in the command center, human military officers were cheering and laughing. The aliens' fearsome demonstration had turned into a complete disaster. "Sir," Communications Officer Sam Williams called out, "we're getting reports from around the globe. The battle is being broadcast on every news network on the planet." Jake looked at the screens around the command center. Social media was exploding with videos of the fight, along with memes and jokes about Galactic Protection Services. Someone had already created a cartoon showing Zephyrian ships being destroyed by human fighters, with the caption "Earth, providing protection from your protection since 2025. "Sir," another officer reported, "we're also getting some interesting signals from deep space. It looks like other alien species are talking about what just happened." Dr. Parker, who had been monitoring alien communications, looked up from her equipment. "The news is spreading fast. There are species all over the galaxy discussing the fact that someone finally stood up to Zephyrians." Jake nodded grimly. "Good. Maybe some of those 800 worlds will start asking questions about their so-called protection." General Brooks entered the command center, carrying a secure phone. "Jake, I just got off the line with the president. She wants to know if we're ready for Phase 2. Jake looked at the tactical displays, showing Zephyrian ship movements throughout the solar system. The aliens had dozens of vessels positioned around Earth, probably preparing for a larger attack. "Tell the president we're ready." Jake said, "It's time to show the galaxy what humans do to bullies." On Luna Base, Colonel Foster was already preparing for the next wave of attacks. But this time, he would not be fighting alone. Around the Earth, in hidden bases and secret facilities, human forces were preparing to take the fight directly to the Zephyrians. The demonstration was over. Now the real war could begin. 6 months after the Battle of Luna Base, Captain Susan Wright stood on the bridge of the ESS Liberty, humanity's first interstellar warship. Through the view screen, she could see the planet Kepler 442b, a world that had been under Zephyrian protection for over 300 years. Today, that protection was about to end. The Liberty was not a beautiful ship like the Zephyrian vessels. It looked like what it was, a weapon designed by humans for the specific purpose of destroying other ships. It was angular, armored, and bristling with weapons that had been tested in the wreckage of Zephyrian fleets. "Captain," her communications officer, Lieutenant Mike Davis, called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface." "Put on screen," Susan said. The face that appeared was humanoid but clearly alien. The being had blue skin, large eyes, and what might have been gills along its neck. It looked scared. "Human ship," the alien said in halting English. "I am Governor Thex of Kepler, 442b. We heard what happened to the Zephyrians at your homeworld. Is it true? Did you really defeat them?" Susan smiled. It was the same question she had been hearing from dozens of worlds over the past few months. "Yes, Governor Thex. We defeated them, and we're here to help you do the same." The alien's large eyes grew even larger. "Help us? But the Zephyrians say you are dangerous. They say you are conquerors who destroy worlds." "The only thing we want to destroy," Susan said, "is their protection racket. Tell me, Governor, how many of your people have died in Zephyrian service?" Thex looked down. "Too many. They take our young people for their fleets. They take our resources for their war machine. They say it is the price of safety. What if I told you that most of the threats they protect you from are fake?" Susan asked. Back on Earth, the Terran Institute for Galactic Studies was bustling with activity. Dr. Lisa Parker had been promoted to director, and her institute had become the center of what humans were calling the Galactic Liberation Front. The institute was located in Geneva, in a building that had once housed international peace negotiations. Now housed refugees from across the galaxy, all sharing the same story. The Zephyrians had taken over their worlds through fear and lies. Dr. Parker, her assistant, Dr. Jennifer Lee, called from across the lab. "We just received another data package from the Altarian delegation." Lisa looked up from the technical specifications she was studying. The Altarians were one of the first species to openly rebel against Zephyrian control after hearing about Earth's victory. They had provided detailed information about consortium military capabilities, trade routes, and political structures. What did they send this time? Lisa asked. Fleet deployment records, Jennifer replied. It looks like the Zephyrians are pulling ships back from the outer territories to protect their core worlds. Lisa nodded. That made sense. After Luna Base, 3 more Zephyrian fleets had challenged human forces. All 3 had been destroyed. The aliens were learning that humans took warfare very seriously. Any word from Captain Wright? Lisa asked. She's just completed the liberation of Kepler, 442b, Jennifer replied. The Zephyrian garrison surrendered without a fight when they saw her ship. Lisa smiled. The ESS Liberty was one of 12 new warships that had been built using a combination of human engineering and captured alien technology. Each ship was commanded by experienced human officers and crewed by volunteers from liberated worlds. The genius of the human approach was that they were not trying to conquer anyone. Instead, they were offering the same thing the Zephyrians had offered, but without the threats and extortion. Any world that wanted human protection could have it, free of charge. The catch was that human protection actually worked. Dr. Parker. Another voice called from across the lab. This time it was Dr. Robert Kim, a specialist in alien psychology. I think you should see this. Lisa walked over to his workstation, where he was studying a communication intercept from Zephyrian space. What am I looking at? She asked. A message from Ambassador Kethvar to the Zephyrian High Council. Robert said. He's asking for reinforcements. Lisa read the translation on Robert's screen. The message was desperate, almost panicked. Kethvar was reporting that 17 worlds had declared independence from the consortium in the past month. More importantly, he was asking for permission to negotiate with the humans. He wants to talk? Lisa asked. More than that, Robert said. He's admitting that the consortium's military cannot defeat human forces. He's recommending that they try to reach some kind of peace agreement. Lisa thought about that. 6 months ago, Kethvar had threatened to destroy Earth if humans refused Zephyrian protection. Now he was begging for peace talks. Set up a secure channel to Admiral Morrison, she said. He needs to see this. An hour later, Jake Morrison was reading the same message in his office at the Pentagon. With him were General Brooks and President Rodriguez, who had come to Washington for emergency consultations. So they want to negotiate, the president said. What do you think, Jake? Jake looked at the tactical displays on his wall. They showed the current positions of human and Zephyrian fleets throughout this part of the galaxy. The humans were winning, but it was not a complete victory yet. I think they're scared, he said. 3/4 of their member worlds have stopped paying tribute. Half of their fleet has been destroyed or captured. They're facing the collapse of everything they've built. General Brooks leaned back in his chair. The question is, what do we want from them? Before anyone could answer, Jake's secure phone rang. The caller identification showed it was Captain Wright, calling from interstellar space. Captain Wright reporting, sir. Susan's voice came through clearly despite the vast distance. Kepler, 442b is secure. Governor Thex has asked to join the Liberation Front. Granted, Jake said. What's your assessment of Zephyrian strength in that sector? Minimal, sir. Most of their ships are retreating toward the core worlds. The few that remain are trying to surrender rather than fight. Jake looked at President Rodriguez. She nodded slowly. Captain Wright, prepare to return to Earth, Jake said. We may have some diplomatic work for you to do. 3 days later, Ambassador Kethvar appeared in the United Nations building for the 4th time. But everything had changed since his first visit. The alien looked smaller somehow, less imposing. His crystal form was dim, almost gray. Jake Morrison sat at the same table where this had all started, but now he was flanked by representatives from 43 liberated worlds. The humans were no longer alone. Ambassador Kethvar, Jake said formally, you requested this meeting. The alien's voice was quiet, almost defeated. Admiral Morrison, the Zephyrian High Council wishes to discuss terms. What terms? Jake asked. We would like to propose a partition of galactic territory. The consortium will withdraw from this sector of the galaxy in exchange for guaranteed security for our core worlds. Jake looked at the other delegates around the table. Governor Thex was there, along with representatives from dozens of species that had been under Zephyrian control for centuries. "That's not acceptable," Jake said simply. Keth Var's form flickered with surprise. "What would be acceptable?" Jake stood up slowly. "Complete dissolution of the consortium. Return of all tribute taken from member worlds. War crimes trial for Zephyrian leaders who ordered attacks on civilian populations. And reparations to the species you've been exploiting." The alien was quiet for a long time. "And if we refuse?" Jake smiled. It was not a cruel smile, but it was not particularly kind either. "Then we'll continue doing what we've been doing for the past 6 months," he said. "We'll liberate every world in your empire, one by one, until there's nothing left but your home system. And then we'll liberate that too." Keth Var's crystal form began to fade. "The High Council will need time to consider your terms." "They have 72 hours, Jake said. "After that, the ESS Liberty and her fleet will resume liberation operations." As the alien disappeared, Governor Thex spoke up. "Admiral Morrison, what will happen to us? To all of us who were under consortium control?" Jake looked around the room at the faces of dozens of different species. Some looked hopeful, some looked scared. All of them looked free, for the first time in centuries. "You'll govern yourselves," he said. "Humans don't want an empire. We just want to make sure nobody else forces you into one either." "And if we need help?" another delegate asked. "If there are real threats out there?" Jake's smile became warmer. "Then you call us. That's what friends do. They help each other when help is needed, without asking for payment or control in return." President Rodriguez stood up beside him. "Earth offers protection to any world that wants it," she said, echoing her words from 6 months earlier. "No fees, no strings attached, no threats. We spent 10,000 years learning how to fight, and we're good at it. But we're even better at deciding who deserves that fight on their behalf." Outside the building, news reporters from a dozen worlds were broadcasting the story across the galaxy. The Zephyrian Consortium, which had controlled this part of space for over 1,000 years, was negotiating its own surrender. And Earth, the small blue world that had laughed and offered protection, had become the galaxy's new protector. The difference was that this time, the protection was real.